Hello everybody, it's that Black Cat here and welcome to another video. So, wait. Give me a second. Okay, now I'm ready. Okay, so Fez, you know what this means? Doctor Who. I don't know what that was. Well, today I decided to make a video about Doctor Who, Yeah, Doctor Who is great and amazing. I could just do that. Or I can actually do a little something actual, like a real thing. Let's do with that. So, I decided today to make a video where I'm going to go through all the Doctors, not all the Doctors, but all the Doctors that I've seen in the new series. I haven't seen the original series. Sorry about that. But I'm going to go through each of the Doctors, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm going to list 3 things about them. Number 1 is what was my first impression of them. Number 2 is when did I really like that character. When did I just like this person, this Doctor is amazing. And then the last one is how did I feel whenever they regenerated. So let's start in numerical order. I think that's how you say it. So first, let's start with number 9. So, what was my first impression of 9? It's just first jumping into the show. And I saw this character and I'm like, this guy is pretty cool. And I sort of liked his leather jacket. I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, this is a cool guy. So that was sort of my first impression. So number 2 is when did I really fall in love with this character? Well, I think it was whenever he grabbed Rose's hand and was talking about the world, spinning and how he can feel it. And at that moment, I'm like, this guy is cool. And finally, how did I feel whenever he left? At first, I was confused because I'm like, what? No, he can't be dying. This is only the first season. I'm like, this can't be happening. What? And I was just honestly confused and baffled. I'm like, no, he can't be dying. He can't be dying. And then he regenerated, and I was just like, what? So, I mean, he is the first he only got 1 season. So there's not really much to say about him. I mean, I liked his personality and the type of person that he was, but you didn't get to know him good enough. He's like that person that you remember, like how I remember like in 2nd grade or something, there's this one person who seemed like a cool kid, but I never hung out with him. And it's sort of like that. He's just like, he seemed cool, but you didn't get enough time to really know him. Sad, really. Okay then, let's move on to number 10. So, 10, David Tennant. What was my first impression? I hate this guy. I want the other guy back. No, seriously. I'm like, I hate this guy. I don't like this guy. No. Bring leather jacket back. Bring him back. Number 2. When did I actually fall in love with this character? I think that would have to be Doomsday. That episode. Or the one before it with like the ghosts. That's whenever I really, I don't know, that's sort of whenever I got to the point where I'm like, this guy's cool and I don't wish he was the other guy again. And whenever I actually saw him have emotion and stuff, and it just, I don't know, sort of that moment, Doomsday. Really, and I know most people are like, oh, that episode is so sad, I hate that episode, Rose, why? And that episode didn't really make me cry, like most people in the fandom. Like, I had 1 tear, and that's a lot coming from me, actually. I don't cry that often. But, yeah, that was sort of whenever I fell in love with this character. And then, number 3, how I felt whenever he regenerated. Golly. His regeneration is by far the saddest because it was just, he did it to save Wilfred, and then he had to say goodbye to, he had a chance to say goodbye to all of his companions and all the people that he's made a difference in. And he had actually got to say goodbye, and that was the sad part. Me, I usually don't cry whenever characters die, but I cry when other characters are mourning them. And sort of that moment of him, like, being upset, like, I'm gone, and by far the worst was Rose. It was sad because he couldn't go back and say goodbye to Rose because Rose is in another dimension, and it was just sad. That was the part whenever I sort of started crying, like 1 or 2 tears, I think. I mean, then again, getting me to actually have tears fall is a lot coming for me. I don't cry that often, as I said before. But it was one of the most emotional regenerations. Now, here comes number 11. So, what was my first impression of this guy? Well, the freaking TARDIS is burning, and he's like, oh, he's like laughing and goofing off, running around, and I'm just like, and he's like, I'm crashing, and it was sort of like that moment after all the emotional of the 10th regeneration. It sort of felt good to have like an active little thing to make you not cry or sort of get over your tears. That's sort of, Doctor Who does that a lot for me. By the time I actually get upset and I start getting to cry, they lift the mood up and make it happy again somehow. And that's sort of what 11 did. And 11, so when did I really have that moment to where I really liked 11? Well, I was watching it and I kept saying, it took me forever to like this guy. And now he's gone. Pretty much, like, not very much. He didn't have that much time after. And just like, it took me forever to like this guy. And now he's gone. And so now there's this guy. And for a while, it was the same way. Like, I'm like, I don't like this guy. I do not like this guy. And sort of that moment, that episode, there's this weird trend here. The moment whenever, that episode, whenever the Doctor locked himself up on that cloud or whatever after Amy and Rory died. That was sort of when I'm like, this guy. And it's sort of funny because that's sort of whenever I have a thing, seeing people, like, he was so happy and I sort of liked him because he was goofy and I liked how he spit out the food. But I'm like, haha, this guy is funny, but I still wish for 10 back. But that moment whenever I'm like, I like this guy and I don't want him to ever leave, was that moment whenever he was so upset with losing Amy and Rory to the Weeping Angels. So that was the moment whenever I really fell in love with his character. And 3, how did I feel whenever he regenerated? So 11 is the second most emotional regeneration. 9 is the third so far, but I'm pretty sure I'll be upset whenever Peter Capaldi regenerates. But whenever, I just thought it was just, you see Clara walk up to him and stuff, and then it changes back into, it's like his mind or whatever changes her back into Amy, the first face that he ever saw, and the entire thing where he spent the rest of this regeneration saving this little town called Christmas. It's sort of, his regeneration was sort of bittersweet. Like, you're just like, oh, he spent so long, like, saving these people because it's his last regeneration. But then, actually, it wasn't, but he thought it was. And then Amy and seeing that was just emotional. Every regeneration is extremely emotional. You're saying goodbye to this character that you've been around and you slowly fell in love with. And then they're gone. Changed with somebody else's, some new personality. The regenerations are always extremely emotional. But, and so, yeah, that's how I sort of felt on 11's regeneration. And finally, the present Doctor that we have right now, Peter Capaldi. Okay, my first impression of him. And I'm just like, whenever he said, how do I fly this thing or whatever, and he started freaking out, I'm just like, how did I fly this thing? And I'm like, whoa, did he have amnesia or something? I was like panicking, thinking like he suddenly had amnesia. And I'm like, no, don't do that to me, doctor. And then whenever he actually got to the episode, whenever he sort of got to like get to know him, and he's like, I just liked it a lot. That was sort of my first impression of him. I can't really get into my first impression without getting into two. Unlike all the other doctors, well, 9 is the other one. But unlike 10 and 11, though I love those characters, 9 and 12 is the only one that I fell in love with their character first episode. I know this is going to sound silly, but I fell in love with Peter Capaldi's interpretation of the Doctor, number 12, whatever you want to call it, whenever he flirted with the dinosaur. That was the moment for me. That was the moment for me. I'm just like, this guy is amazing. He flirted with the dinosaur. That was it. Fell in love with him. And by far, he's my favorite now. And though I do gladly wear my Matt Smith cosplay, it's hard to pick favorites. It took me forever deciding between 10 and 11 whenever I first started watching the show. And now I just quickly moved to 12, and then my other friend is still, 2 of my friends that watch the show are still stuck. David Tennant is the best, and I'm like, I like 12. I don't know why. I just really like his character. I don't know why. But yeah, that's sort of my view on all the different doctors and junk, like the things. But feel free to leave down in the comment section below, like, when you sort of fell in love with the characters. Like, you don't have to actually, like, fall in love, but I say I fell in love with the character. That is just that moment where I'm like, this person is amazing. That's sort of whenever you fall in love with their character. So leave in the comment section below whenever you fell in love with the characters. Maybe I'll do another video like this for the companions. I'm not sure, depending on how you guys like it. But anyways, it's DapLikeCat signing out. Goodbye. My fist.